Call the meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. Angie, you want to call the roll?
Deanna Wood. Terry Broxma.
Here.
Dave Vandenbrake.
Here.
Kathy Kruger. Here. April Schaefer. Here. Lee Rivers.
Here.
Dean Van Marl.
Before we start, just an announcement. We've barely got a quorum here today. So when we start the discussions on each individual item, if someone feels uncomfortable with the discussion as it proceeds, they can elect to have their item moved to another meeting. But once the vote's taken, the decision is made. So you have to indicate that you want to move your item if you do want to move it prior to the vote being taken. Is that understood? Thank you. Item 2, approve the minutes of the meeting of the August 31, 2022. Any questions or? Thank you. Is made and seconded. Call the roll.
Vandenbrake.
Yes.
Kruger. Yes. Schaefer. Yes. Rivers.
Yes.
Broxma.
Yes. Item 3, variance request for 2 canopies at 200 North 18th Avenue, the Village Northwest Unlimited. Barry, can you come up and give a little recap?
Yeah, so what the village is wanting to do is put 2 canopies on the Summit building. And as part of that project, we're also going to be creating a drive-through system, because as the Sheldon School District has opened the Little Orbs Learning Center across the street, we have our residents being dropped off and picked up as they're letting their school children out. And if you're familiar with the Summit building, you know that there's off-street parking there. As people are dropped off, the residents that we serve, some of them lack the awareness to not walk behind the vehicle into the roadway. And so it's a real safety concern for us with the increase in traffic that's happening across the street. And so what we're wanting to do is create a drive-through system. So our staff will drop off and pick up residents by coming from North 18th Avenue, pull to the front of our building. We'll have 2 canopies so that residents can be dropped off underneath the canopy and not have to be out in the elements. And then our residents, or our staff, will be able to exit onto North 18th Avenue and being able to look if traffic is coming, because right now what they have to do is inch out, and if there's other cars parked around them, you know, they kind of inch out, look if something's coming. And we've already had 1 accident in that location as cars are trying to inch out. And so we're asking for a variance because the setback for the canopies encroaches in the 50 feet, and so that's our request.
We've had 3 letters of approval, I guess, or, you know, in support of the project. And I think I drove by and took a look. Those of you that don't know, they started the project early, some of the cement work. And looking at it, looks like a great addition to the area. It looks like the driveway will work fine. Looks like the south canopy is going to be the one that sticks out the furthest. Is that right?
The north canopy.
Or north canopy, okay.
Yes.
All right. Yep. And should be definitely workable. I like how it looks.
Good. Thank you.
Any questions for Barry? Call the motion.
Kruger. Yes. Broxma.
Yes.
Vandenbrake. Yes. Schaefer. Yes. Rivers.
Yes. Motion carried. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Item 4, variance request for garage expansion, front setback and fence height at 806 Washington Avenue. Nathan and Christy Punt. Nathan, you want to come up, please? This is the brick house on Washington and 8th on the corner.
So yeah, we have 2 items that we'd like to do. Both of them are asking for a variance due to the 25-foot setback on the corner lot. So we're looking to add a 20-foot addition on the back of the garage so I can pull my truck inside the garage. It's just not quite long enough. And so yeah, the garage addition will be 16 foot plus a 4-foot overhang on the west side. And yeah, it's 17 foot at the back end of the garage now. By the time you get to the back side of the garage, of the addition, it'd be closer to about 25 foot. And then we'd also like to have, replace the existing hedge with a 6-foot tall privacy fence, just to help eliminate some yearly maintenance and issues with overgrowth on that, but still the privacy in our backyard.
So the whole hedge will be removed?
Yes.
Any questions for Nathan?
This is basically the side yard along 8th Street.
Yes.
This is where the 6-foot fence would be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it gonna go in the back too, or not?
Yeah, so it would go along the entire north side on 8th Street, and then the west side to my neighbor, to where my neighbor has his fence already. He has about 75 feet of fence put up on his backyard already. And he said that he would have liked that because, yeah, it's kind of tight between the hedge and his house, and he tries to get his truck back there, so he's all for it, so.
Yeah, that hedge is pretty tall.
Yeah, and if, it grows quickly too.
Yep, yep,
If I might.
okay.
Nathan, I should have asked you this when I talked to you earlier, but regarding the distance of the fence from the north property line, it'll be at least a foot.
Yes, we could go a foot, yes.
Yeah.
And the setback for the garage brings you how close to the property line?
So the setback from the property line to the back end of the existing garage is 17 foot at its closest point. And then due to how the property angles away from it, it'd be closer to 25 foot at the back of the addition.
Need a motion?
I make a motion to approve both.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Got it? Call the motion?
Krueger. Yes. Ruvers.
Yes.
Brockma.
Yes.
Vandenbrink.
Yes.
Schaefer. Yes.
Thanks, Nathan. You bet. Item 5, variance request for accessory shed in front yard at 305 Washington Avenue. Hugh and Valerie Eilers. Hugh?
I am asking for permission to leave my shed where it currently is. Sam and I talked about it. It was in front of the garage, and actually it was directly butted up next to the garage. And then Sam had let me know that there had to be 5 feet between the two buildings for fire code. So he and I had agreed to move it to where it's currently located, so I could get vehicles through there. Otherwise, if the shed was slid 5 foot further forward, I wouldn't be able to use both driveways as a circular drive. So Sam and I had agreed to put it where it was, and I didn't realize that a variance was required to move that since Sam and I had talked about that. So I'm just asking that it be approved to stay in its current location.
If I might.
Go ahead.
So just a couple of things to add to that. A zoning permit was granted, and I wrote on the permit that it needed to be between the two garages. And then I did authorize on a temporary basis so that he could clean up the area between the garage and the house to move it to the north. We talked about a variance at that time. My recommendation to you was I wouldn't recommend going back to the Board of Adjustment right now until you've demonstrated cleanup of the property, which you have to some extent. There is a question that has come up recently about when you plan on fixing the fence on the east side. So my recommendation, if the board chooses to approve this, is to tie it to fence completion within a relatively short amount of time and ongoing compliance of the board's previous actions. That way, if we have a compliance issue, then we can force the removal of the shed.
My contractor had already been paid and hired to finish the fence, but he had an injury earlier this spring and hasn't been able to come over and finish because he's had 2 surgeries. As soon as he is okayed and cleared to go back to work, then he said he would come over and help me finish it, because with my foot now I'm not able to do the work myself, and he's already been hired to help finish it. And he said he'd make it right with me, so that'll get done hopefully yet, before the snow flies.
Yeah, we did have one comment from one of the neighbors did not sign it, that, the rules had to be followed, so you need to be on the straight and narrow and get the fence done
Yeah,
and be in compliance. I did get a comment verbally that the place looks a lot better than it did a year ago.
yeah, I've been
So,
working on it.
yep.
It just takes time with,
Yep.
my messed up foot and not having a contractor able to come help finish it right now.
Is this temporary shed within the fence,
It's inside the fence.
inside the fence?
Yeah.
Driving by the pergola, that's temporary, you're gonna take that down?
Yeah, yeah, that'll be taken down before it snows also.
Okay.
Sam, so your recommendation is if he has that fence fixed within a certain
Yeah.
timeline,
I would pick a date, and what's the date? Let's negotiate here.
I'd have to call the contractor and find out as soon as he can come.
Well,
He's hoping to be back to work in the next 2 weeks.
okay. Well, I'd say within the next 30 days. Needs to be finished.
Well, let's give it a little longer than that, just in case.
Okay.
I would rather not have to come back to this.
Okay?
I would rather
Year end,
go to December 1 or something like that,
or year end,
rather than having to come back to it later. And
quickly.
yeah,
Okay?
Put that in a motion, Dave?
yeah.
Rita?
So what other things are the compliance part of it that we're tying to this? Fence being fixed on the east side?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the only thing that he's not in compliance with currently?
Currently.
Okay.
You know, there's,
Completion of the fence by
December 1.
December 1.
Doable?
Yep, I think so.
I'll second it if that was the motion.
Call the roll.
Schaefer? Yes. Rivers?
Yes.
Vandenbrink?
Yes.
Roxma?
Yes,
Kruger? Yes.
thanks, you.
Thank you.
thank you, Hugh.
Item 6, special exception request for warehouse at 109 North C Street, NOYB LLC. I don't know what NOY...
None of your business.
So we're just working on a major expansion project where NOYB LLC is the owner of the property around there, of which Deluxe Animal Health leases.
Okay,
Deluxe Animal Health is in need of a larger warehousing space, and therefore, the special request is the terminology of the way the permitting is today. So, yeah, it's a major project for Deluxe and for the town of Sheldon, so.
I don't know if everybody knows where the lot is, but we took a look. It looks like it's been prepared. The lot's been ready for construction for a while, it looks like.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close to 5 years. We did a major cleanup on the lots and
Yeah.
got it prepped for this project down the road. So here we are today,
So it's 120 by
180,
180.
approximately 22,000 square feet
That'll
project.
hold a lot of fentanyl.
It'll hold a lot of product, yeah. Yes, it will. Yep, and it'll be nice to be under one roof in one spot.
Okay, any questions for Rod?
I'll second it.
Made and seconded, call the roll.
Roxma?
Yes,
Rivers?
Yes.
Vandenbrink?
Yes.
Kruger? Yes. Schaefer? Yes.
thank you, Rod, looks
Yep.
like a good project.
All right,
so.
thank you.
Yep. Need a motion to, or we have comments from the city manager?
I'll just make one comment. We have had a success story with code enforcement. It's kind of a difficult business. It sometimes steps backwards. But 317 West 7th, I think we can cross that one off. If you remember, that was the home that was abandoned for 20 years. So it's been nicely fixed up, nice driveway, and it's occupied again. So they're There are 3 other properties in that immediate vicinity that I'm working on as well. You can probably guess which ones they are.
The Den Hardog property we went by, there is wood. They did replace part of the garage roof. There's wood laying in the garage yet, which I assume they've got the tenant doing some of the work, but there was some progress. So,
Just enough, right?
maybe for some. But not enough, it's progress, let's put it that way. It wasn't ignored. So, progress. Anything else? No. Sam? Any comments from anyone else? Need the motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Call the roll?
Braxton?
Yes.
Vandenberg? Yes. Krueger? Yes. Schaefer? Yes. Rivers?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.